Hey everybody, it's Angie and welcome to Hot and Flashy. In today's video, I wanted to share my top 5 drugstore foundations for mature skin. So as you guys know, as you get older, it becomes harder and harder to find a foundation that looks great on your maturing skin because, once you get wrinkles and age spots and enlarged pores and sagging skin, it's more difficult to find a foundation that's going to sit right and not accentuate those things. I have a series called Foundation Friday where I do in-depth reviews on foundation. I wear them for like 3 days, show it to you up close and in all kinds of sunlight so that you can see what it looks like. And I gotta say, it has taken me testing hundreds of foundations to find a handful of good ones. But nevertheless, I have found some really great foundations at the drugstore, and so I'm gonna share those with you today. What I love most about all the foundations that I'm going to show you is that they don't accentuate my wrinkles, they don't accentuate my pores, they don't make my skin look older and worse than it is, they don't look cakey, they don't dry out my skin, and so they are great for mature skin. Now, that said, all mature skin, of course, is not the same. My mature skin may be very different from your mature skin. You may have different level of wrinkles, different sized pores. You may have oilier skin than me. You may have drier skin than me. So of course, what works for me isn't necessarily going to work for you, but I do have recommendations for all different skin types here. So I have combo skin. I traditionally was oily through the T-zone. I am less and less oily through the T-zone the older I get, but I also have some dry skin like around the corners of my mouth and around the corners of my hairline. So I have it all, and so I can see how foundation sits on all 3 different types of my skin. I prefer a foundation that gives me enough coverage to cover up like my redness and my age spots and to even out my skin tone, but I don't really go for full coverage. I like something that is very natural looking on the skin. If you're excited for this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more mature makeup and mature skincare. All right, my number 1 drugstore foundation for mature skin is L'Oreal True Match. This is the original True Match. It's called their Super Blendable Foundation. This has been a favorite of mine for so many years. When I did my Foundation Friday testing on this one, it went right into my holy grails. So this retails for under $15. It's like $10.95, and it comes in 45 shades, which I really love about it. So, at the drugstore, sometimes it's hard to get a shade match because a lot of the foundations don't come in as extensive of a shade range as some of the higher end foundations do. But this one comes in such a huge and inclusive shade range that just about anyone can find a shade match in it. I wear it in the shade N3 Natural Buff. I have it on today. This is medium to full coverage. It's fragrance free and hydrating. So this is good for all skin types. This sits well on my oilier skin. It sits well on my drier skin. It sits well on my normal skin. So I think anyone can use this foundation. It doesn't feel like it ever dries out my skin. It never looks oily at the end of the day. And it's also really smoothing because it doesn't have a super luminous finish. It's not finicky. It doesn't really have a hard time getting along with other makeup. It works over just about any sunscreen or any skincare that you want to put on under it. It's easy to use. You can put it on with a brush. You can put it on with a sponge. With my standard makeup application, which is to put on sunscreen, let it set, then put on my makeup, and then add setting powder. I usually don't use primer on an everyday basis. I usually don't use setting spray on an everyday basis. I get around 6 or 7 solid, really good hours of wear out of this. I can stretch it to 10 hours if I add a setting spray or if I add a primer. While it doesn't last all day completely on its own, it doesn't look bad when it wears off either. It wears off in a really natural way. It's not like my nose is bright red or anything. It just kind of fades away gently so that even after 10 hours, it still looks pretty good on my skin. This foundation doesn't really settle into my wrinkles. It does a tiny bit. It really isn't too much, but like right here in these little guys, you see that? So that's like the amount of settling that I get. It's not a ton, really doesn't make it look cakey, doesn't make me look older. No one can see the settling except for me and my 10X mirror. I do powder this one just because I like finishing powder to kind of disguise my pores. And when I do, oh my gosh, do I have the most beautiful skin-like but velvety, smooth look to my skin. This is just so beautiful. But if you don't want to powder it and you like that satin matte let's say you have drier skin, you could love this one too. So that is an all-time holy grail, hands down, #1 recommendation from the drugstore. All right, my second favorite drugstore foundation is also from L'Oreal, and actually I have to admit that 4 out of the 5 here today are from L'Oreal. But I feel like L'Oreal makes hands down the best foundations at the drugstore. They just do. I've tried lots of other brands. I've tried CoverGirl, Maybelline, Boots. They just don't work as well on my skin as the L'Oreal foundation. So anyway, the second one is the L'Oreal True Match Nude Tinted Serum Foundation. Now this is a newer release. It's kind of the newer, more lightweight, more skin-like looking version of the True Match foundation. So the original True Match that I was just talking about was for medium to fuller coverage. This one will give you a much more natural, much more skin-like look. This one is called a tinted serum. They put it in a dropper bottle so that it can remind you more of a serum. I actually don't love this dropper bottle. I wish that they would repackage this with a simple pump. It gets really messy up around here. I've only had this for, I don't know, 6 or 8 months maybe, and I've already gone through a half a bottle of this. Now, for me to use up this much of a foundation in this short of a time, it never happens. It never happens. So it just shows you how often I reach for this and how much I love this. This is also around the $10 to $12 price point. This is a light to medium coverage foundation. It has 1% hyaluronic acid in it, which is supposed to be hydrating. This one also does contain SD alcohol. That is #4 on the ingredient list. So if you feel like SD alcohol is drying for your skin or you have super dry skin, then I wouldn't really recommend this one for you. But since it does have the hyaluronic acid in it and it does have a few other hydrating ingredients, I feel like they could offset the drying SD alcohol. This comes in a much more limited shade range than the original True Match. This only comes in 14 shades, but I find that their shade range is very wearable. This is also a beautiful foundation. I've tested this and it wears so well throughout the day, and I never touch up my makeup throughout the day, and I got 10 solid hours of wear out of this without using a primer. Much like the original True Match, this one is not finicky either. It works with lots of different sunscreens underneath. I wear it over just about all my sunscreens because I have a whole sunscreen wardrobe depending on what I'm feeling like that day, and this one works with everything as well. I get about the same amount of settling into wrinkles with this foundation as I do with the original True Match, which is to say not very much, doesn't crack, doesn't make my wrinkles look bigger or older or worse. This one is longer wearing though than the original True Match. I can get a solid 10 hours out of this without using a primer, without using setting spray. I put it on the same way, which is, pretty much apply it to my face, either with a sponge or a brush. And then I apply my setting powder and then that's it. I go for the day. And so this is a really great foundation for mature skin. All right, my third favorite foundation for mature skin is L'Oreal, but it is their Age Perfect 4-in-1 Tinted Balm. Now, this is a great foundation for when you're in a hurry and you just want to throw something on and get out the door and still have your skin look great. This only comes in 8 shades, so a little bit harder to get a shade match. It retails for $11 to $12 and it gives light to medium coverage. The finish is kind of a satin glowy finish. It's really beautiful on the skin. I love how it looks. It looks very natural. You can apply it heavier if you want more coverage. I just do a light coating with a brush around my face and I think it just looks so beautiful. So this is a balm texture foundation, so it comes in this kind of a package. This feels so surprisingly lightweight. I was so surprised by this when I first got it because I was like, oh, it's gonna be heavy, it's gonna be waxy, it's gonna accentuate all my wrinkles, and it does none of that. This is the most beautiful feeling lightweight balm. It just glides over the skin, it blends right in, it looks more like a liquid foundation than a balm foundation. I mean, you can't even really see it on there. It just blends in so, so beautifully. I apply this with a brush. I use my BK 106 brush. I just tap it in there and then I just spread this around my face. And this goes on so quickly and so easily. This is the kind of thing I like to use when I'm in a hurry or I'm just going for like a casual makeup day, but it looks so beautiful on my skin and it feels so lightweight. And I think that this foundation of the 3 is going to be the best one for drier skin because The way that it's formulated, it just is going to lock more moisture into your skin. And on my skin, this doesn't feel drying, but it doesn't make me look oily either. As I said, it's not a heavyweight, like greasy balm kind of thing. It's very lightweight on the skin. It looks so beautiful, and it wore throughout the day really, really, really well. I actually have this in 2 colors, and it doesn't settle in my wrinkles so much that I use the lighter shade as my under eye concealer. So I'll just put on like this one, which is shade 20 on my face, and then I'll put on this one, which is shade 10 under my eyes, and I wear it that way, and it is just terrific, and it lasts all day. I do use setting powder with it, of course, like I do with everything. And then my pores look really smooth, but the rest of my face looks nice and dewy and glowy and youthful, and it's just really, really beautiful foundation. All right, finally something that isn't made by L'Oreal. This is the e.l.f. Camo CC cream. I like this better than the IT CC cream, which was a favorite of mine for a long, long time. People were comparing it directly to the IT CC cream, and when I tried this, I was like, I like this better. It's not as heavy looking on the skin as the IT CC cream. If you're familiar with that, you know what I'm talking about. That one is so solidly pigmented. This one is much more natural looking. This retails for about $14. It offers medium to full coverage. The shade that I picked up was a little bit dark for me. The shade I have it in is light 280N. I do need to pick up a lighter shade of this. This has an SPF 30. It's a hybrid mineral chemical SPF. Having sunscreen in here is fine. I don't really rely on my makeup to be my sunscreen. So as you know, I put sunscreen on under everything, and this played really well with my sunscreen. This also does contain some skincare. It's got collagen, peptides, and niacinamide. You know, I also don't rely on my makeup for skincare. I put on my skincare first in the morning and then my makeup. So I don't feel like I use enough makeup to really get the SPF on the label or to get the skincare, but you know, it's fine with me that they throw it in there. I think they were trying to compete directly with the IT CC cream, which does contain collagen, niacinamide, you know, has an SPF. And like I said, I like this one so much better. It's very hydrating. So this would be really great for people with drier skin. And like the L'Oreal foundations, this was easy to apply. This did settle in my wrinkles a tiny bit. I gotta say, it's hard to find things that don't settle in your wrinkles at all. But the things that, you know, crack and make my wrinkles look bigger and make me look cakey, I really don't like. This is really beautiful and natural looking on the skin. It doesn't look like makeup sitting on your skin. So if you're not really a big foundation wearer, this is the one that I would gravitate towards of this collection of things. But it did wear great on my combo skin. It wore really well in my T-zone. It didn't wear off on my nose through a full 10-hour day of testing. But this is a beautiful foundation. I really loved it when I tried it, and I think it's a really good one to try if you're more mature and looking for a great foundation. And for the last foundation in this video, I wanted to include a powder foundation because I know a lot of more mature people just like to add a little bit of powder over their sunscreen and are looking for a great product for that. And this one is another L'Oreal product. I gotta say, L'Oreal really knocks it out of the park with the face makeup. I just love their foundations so much. You know, I'm not a big fan of their eyeshadows or some of their other makeup. I love their mascara, but really foundations are where it's at for me with L'Oreal. So this is the L'Oreal Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear Foundation. This is a full coverage matte powder foundation. This is the same price as the other L'Oreal foundations, about $11 to $12 depending on where you purchase it. It comes in 14 shades. So I have it in ivory beige, true beige, and golden beige, none of which are right for me, but when I'm looking on the website, I see that they have another shade called beige sand, and I think that that one might be the perfect shade match for me, which I have to get, but every time I go to the store, it's sold out, so I have to order it online. But even using this in not exactly the right shade, I still loved it. This foundation is waterproof, heat-proof, and sweat-proof, and so if you're suffering from hot flashes or you're just a very hot person, then this is going to be the foundation for you. It's also very mattifying and very smoothing and blurring on the pores, so if you have texture on your skin and enlarged pores, then this is going to be your best friend. I really loved how this looked on my skin. I felt like it was very smoothing on my pores. While it says that it's a matte foundation, it's like a creamy, beautiful, soft satin matte finish that, as I said, blurred my pores but didn't look dry and cakey. So I wore this all day, and by the end of the day it had gotten like slightly more luminous but not greasy looking, and so I felt like it was very natural looking. It was very comfortable to wear. The only time it felt drying was when I first put it on, but then my skin, it kind of like melts into your skin as the day goes on, and I thought that it looked just beautiful still at the end of the day, and it was really long wearing. So this is going to be great for people who are menopausal and having hot flashes, and just makeup seems to melt off your face all day long because it's waterproof and sweat proof. Or if you live in a really hot climate, this might be great just to pop over your makeup to help keep it a little bit matte during the day. So those are my top 5 drugstore foundations for mature skin. I think I've covered everything for every skin type and every kind of finish, and whether you want a natural look or a more foundation-y, more full coverage look, I think I had you covered here. So definitely, if you're looking for a great drugstore foundation, give one of these foundations a try. I'll link them all in the info box below the video, along with the shade that I wear it in, just to help you with shade matching. So I hope you found this video helpful and informative. If you did, give it a like. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. As always, I thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you watching. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you in the next video. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.